Hello and a very warm welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into News 9 Live. Now, it's no news that the surge in heart attack cases have not only alarmed the doctors' community, but at home, it has also changed dinner table conversations and what is laid on it to eat as well. From people collapsing while performing, dancing, exercising, to fit celebrities succumbing to sudden attacks. There are several factors that can lead to an attack, and according to a study in the Global Heart Journal, most patients that suffer an attack have underlying diabetic conditions as well. India is considered the diabetes capital of the world. Now, usually obesity, diabetes, smoking and hypertension are conventional risk factors. Even as these continue to be the most obvious risk factors, higher stress levels are now adding to this deadly concoction. Heart attack and muscle death also go hand in hand, because unlike some other tissues, the effects of a heart attack are often permanent, as the heart tissue cannot regenerate. Now, News9 Plus's documentary, The Heart Died Young, is a case study for those who wish to get a deeper understanding around the how, why, cause and effect relationship between heart ailments, especially for those below the age of 50. Our story is about two youths with different approaches to life. Dharmendra, who was enthusiastic about joining the police and armed forces, his routine full of strenuous exercise and running, and Anil, a corporate busy bee, who tackled hypertension and altered his lifestyle to safeguard the health of his heart. Sadly, we lost Dharam, and the world is certainly poorer without him, but he has taught us a valuable lesson. Here's a snippet. Take a look.
Till 8 months ago, Dharmendra Kumar was one among thousands of Indian youth who complete college and dream of donning the uniform. He was high on optimism and preparing to take the CDS exam. At his home in Loni, Ghaziabad, his family members were aware of Dharam's passion for the uniform. Kumar wanted to emulate his father Ram Singh, a Naib Subedar with the CRPF posted in Ladakh.
अपने पिताजी से प्रेरित होकर जो CRPF में काम करते हैं और इन दिनों लद्दाख में पोस्टेड हैं। मैं भी फौज में जाना चाहता हूँ।
But at 24, Kumar's dreams received a rude jolt.
पिछले साल मुझे कार्डियक प्रॉब्लम हुई थी और मुझे एंजियोप्लास्टी करवानी पड़ी।
On a cold Delhi December evening, he began complaining of persistent chest pain.
मेरे पास अचानक फ़ोन आया धर्मेंद्र का कि उसकी छाती में बहुत तेज़ दर्द हो रहा है और मैं तुरंत ही उसके घर पहुंचा, उसको अपनी मोटरसाइकिल पे तुरंत ही हॉस्पिटल ले गया और मुझे बहुत ही आश्चर्य कि इतने कम एज में उस तरीके से हार्ट अटैक हुआ है।
The first time I met Dharmendra was under a very dire situation where he had suffered a massive heart attack. He was in extensive cardiogenic shock. Now we are proceeding for an angiogram. Let's check the blood pressure.
It was an evening that would change Dharmendra's life forever.
Here our prime motive was that his age is only 24 and we have to open up his artery as soon as possible. I immediately opened up the coronary artery and his LED was opened up beautifully. He has an almost total recovery of heart function now.
अग्निवीर स्कीम ने मुझे एक दूसरा मौका दिया है जिससे मैं अपना सपना साकार कर सकूं।
If you thought heart attacks affect only celebrities in their 50s and 40s, think again.
Indians in general get heart disease at least one decade earlier than their Western counterparts. Also, the absolute percentage of people who get heart attacks is much higher in India than in the Western countries.
There has been a spate of high-profile heart attack victims such as comedian Raju Srivastava, singer KK, actor Puneet Rajkumar and TV star Siddharth Shukla, who were 40 or more. But the average age at which the first heart attack occurs in Indians has come down drastically, say doctors.
The overall prevalence of heart attacks below the age of 35 years is about 2 to 2.5%. It's not a very large number, but certainly this number is also an alarming number when you look at the age of the individual.
What we are getting in our emergencies are more younger people with heart attacks, and they actually come with massive heart attacks almost in late stages. They never reach early because of lack of awareness.
The lineage will tell you that if your parents had heart disease, the children will have double the chance.
Well, you can download the application News9 Plus for other cutting-edge documentaries and in-depth news analysis as well. To talk more on the issue, I'm joined by my colleague Ashish Sharma, Senior Associate Editor for News9 Plus, here in the studio. And we're also joined by Dr. Manoj Kumar, who's the Senior Director and Unit Head at Cath Lab Cardiac Sciences, Max Super Specialty Hospital. And of course, folks, I must come clean here. I stand corrected. Dharam is very much with us, and all the very best to him in his recovery and his aspirations of joining the armed forces. Ashish, let's get the ball rolling here. You know, you're the man behind the story, essentially. What did you think, you know, is the situation like in current times that actually, you know, warrants this story at this point in time? Why did you want to put these you know, gritty statistics for the viewers out there to consume?
Kabir, we wanted to go beyond the obvious. So the headlines which are made are by celebrities, the comedians, the actors. But the incidence of heart attacks in India is coming down drastically. It's not any longer happening in the 50s. So we looked beyond and we were shocked to find that it's happening in the 30s. When we went out looking for case studies, we actually found a 24-year-old who had undergone a major heart procedure at the age of 24, and now Dharam is recovering. He wanted to emulate his father, who is in the BSF, and join the armed forces, either in the police or paramilitary forces. But while he was strenuously training for this, and he suffered this massive kind of a cardiac problem, and he had to be operated, you know, within hours. He was lucky that he survived, and one of his major blocked arteries was done. But if he hadn't reached the hospital in time, he would have died. So that's the threshold. It's going from the 50s to the 30s to now the 20s. So we wanted to look beyond that and look at the actual people on the ground and the reasons. And it's come, the timing of it was after COVID. So there's that link as well, that people who'd you know, adopted a sedentary lifestyle during COVID were also at a greater risk. And like you mentioned, India is anyway the diabetes capital of the world.
Let's take this question to the doctor on the panel. Dr. Manoj Kumar, how are you looking at these numbers? Are you alarmed at the sudden surge of heart attack cases, especially in the young?
Definitely, I agree with the statistics that the landscape of coronary artery disease or heart disease, in common language you call it the blockage in the arteries, is now affecting the younger population. So the landscape of the disease, heart disease, is changing. Initially, the incidence of myocardial infarction or heart attack less than 40 years was only 25%. But nowadays it is very common that you are getting patients of 20 years, 22 years, and they have definite MI. They have proven heart attack on angiography. So definitely the trend is changing. But you should know this fact, and I will just spread this message that as Indians, we are genetically more predisposed for the coronary artery disease or heart blockage. All conventional risk factors, including diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol level, smoking, that is very frequent or rampant in our country. But the newer risk factor, which has happened after post-COVID, you know that the COVID is basically a viral illness and affecting the lungs, but it affected the heart also. Whole the lining of the blood vessels, that is in medical term is called endothelium, totally damaged. It was erased from the arteries and veins. So the formation of clot is very common in arteries and veins. And this is, you know, that the heart attack is basically a atherothrombotic disease. There is some fat accumulation on the wall of the artery. It ruptures, it mixes with the blood and forms clot, and there is a complete interruption of the blood supply to the heart muscles. So definitely the traditional risk factors, some newer risk factors like sedentary lifestyle, urbanization, stress, indulgence with alcohol and smoking, and COVID. Ultimately, COVID was the last nail in the coffin because it just predisposes for the clot formation in your arteries.
And also, you know, the treatment and prevention, safeguarding the health of the heart, is that a thing of fiction? I mean, if you look at the documentary closely, and you can watch it on the News9 Plus application, the documentary talks about, you know, certain treatment methods as well. There's this door to balloon time. There's a golden period in which, you know, damage to the heart and cardiac muscles can be prevented. Would you like to throw some light on that as well, doctor?
Definitely. The initial 1 hour is very important in the patient of heart attack because it is most of the death takes place in the first hour. And this is very crucial time because the death in the first hour is due to the arrhythmias or irregular heartbeats, that is called ventricular tachycardia. And this time is also very important for the treatment part because if you go for the angioplasty, that is called primary angioplasty or ballooning during heart attack situation, or if you thrombolize, you give a medications to lyse or to break the clots, that is also very important because this both procedures is time-dependent procedures. If you become late, the efficacy of the treatment, we loses the efficacy of the treatment. So door to balloon time, ideally it should be less than 90 minutes, and it is called golden hour, 60 minutes. If you do treatment within 60 minutes, within 1 hour, the chances of myocardium damage will be minimized and you can salvage the heart muscles.
Well, after months of returning to normalcy, it seems like, Ashish, COVID-19 is something that is still in the middle of this particular debate. It's still in the fray. We're going to talk more about it, but let's quickly take a look at the snippet of our documentary, The Heart Died Young, once again, for all those out there who want a better understanding about why the young are suffering from heart attacks and various other cardiac issues, and what one can do, the kind of medical treatment that is available out there for all of us. Take a look.
Till 8 months ago, Dharmendra Kumar was one among thousands of Indian youth who complete college and dream of donning the uniform. He was high on optimism and preparing to take the CDS exam. At his home in Loni, Ghaziabad, his family members were aware of Dharam's passion for the uniform. Kumar wanted to emulate his father Ram Singh, a Naib Subedar with the CRPF posted in Ladakh.
अपने पिताजी से प्रेरित होकर जो CRPF में काम करते हैं और इन दिनों लद्दाख में पोस्टेड हैं, मैं भी फौज में जाना चाहता हूं.
But at 24, Kumar's dreams received a rude jolt.
पिछले साल मुझे कार्डियक प्रॉब्लम हुई थी और मुझे एंजियोप्लास्टी करवानी पड़ी.
On a cold Delhi December evening, he began complaining of persistent chest pain.
मेरे पास अचानक फ़ोन आया धर्मेंद्र का कि उसकी छाती में बहुत तेज़ दर्द हो रहा है और मैं तुरंत ही उसके घर पहुंचा, उसको अपनी मोटरसाइकिल पे तुरंत ही हॉस्पिटल ले गया और मुझे बहुत ही आश्चर्य कि इतने कम एज में उस तरीके से हार्ट अटैक हुआ है.
The first time I met Dharmender was under a very dire situation where he had suffered a massive heart attack. He was in extensive cardiogenic shock. Now we are proceeding for an angiogram. Let's check the blood pressure.
It was an evening that would change Dharmendra's life forever.
Here, our prime motive was that his age is only 24, and we have to open up his artery as soon as possible. I immediately opened up the coronary artery, and his LED was opened up beautifully. He has an almost total recovery of heart function now.
अपनी विश स्कीम ने मुझे एक दूसरा मौका दिया है जिससे मैं अपना सपना साकार कर सकूं।
If you thought heart attacks affect only celebrities in their 50s and 40s, think again.
Indians in general get heart disease at least one decade earlier than their Western counterparts. Also, the absolute percentage of people who get heart attacks is much higher in India than in the Western countries.
There has been a spate of high-profile heart attack victims such as comedian Raju Srivastava, singer KK, actor Puneet Rajkumar and TV star Siddharth Shukla, who were 40 or more. But the average age at which the first heart attack occurs in Indians has come down drastically, say doctors.
The overall prevalence of heart attacks below the age of 35 years is about 2 to 2.5%. It's not a very large number, but certainly this number is also an alarming number when you look at the age of the individual.
What we are getting in our emergencies are more younger people with heart attacks, and they actually come with massive heart attacks almost in late stages. They never reach early because of lack of awareness.
The lineage will tell you that if your parents had heart disease, the children will have double the chance.
Well, that documentary is out there for you to consume only on the News9 Plus application, downloaded on the Play Store or the Apple App Store as well. Coming back to the discussion in the studio with me, Ashish Sharma. Ashish, across your coverage, and the documentary really nicely points out those interesting facts about, what one should do. Images from inside the, surgery hall, the surgeon hall, aren't easily accessible to the common man out there. But across your coverage, what other interesting, facts did you learn? We know that, there's the 3 S's that you spoke about in the documentary, but what else?
So Kabir, yeah, it was a story which was a voyage of discovery for me. So the aspect that Indians are likely to get a heart attack 10 years before their Western counterparts, that was one big finding. The other big finding I discovered was that men are more likely to get it. So you might be surprised to find that women have natural immunity against heart attacks much more than men, more than 10%. That is due to the estrogen levels they have. And till a particular point, till men and women both reach menopause when the risk factors become equal, till then women who have estrogen have natural immunity against heart attacks, so they're much less likely to suffer heart attacks than men. Another aspect was people collapsing, seemingly fit people working on a treadmill and collapsing. You had some high profile celebrities there as well. But in the case of Dharam, we realized that he was working out so hard without supervision.
What was the underlying precondition with Dharam? I mean, considering he was so young, 23, 24 years old, aspiring to join the services, running, looks fit on the visuals as well. What was his underlying precondition?
So the biggest thing going against him was that, genetically he was predisposed because his father had a history of cardiac problems. That was one. The second was that he was working out too hard without really understanding the levels he could exceed, what was the threshold level till which he should not cross. And the third was lifestyle, that a sedentary lifestyle as well mixed with the smoking. So these were some of the biggest risk factors going against him.
All right. Let's take that to the doctor on the panel as well. Dr. Manoj Kumar, genetics is a major factor as well, and we've already learned that diabetes is another major factor. Help us understand what are some other risk factors and some, some symptoms that one can, acknowledge and then take action quickly in that golden period that you're talking about.
Major risk factors, if you consider it, is diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol level, smoking, and positive family history. Positive family history is a very important risk factor, and it also compel you to go for the early screening for the heart disease, because in this case you can see that the father was positive, a cardiac patient. So genetic factor is very important, because this all atherosclerosis, and you should understand this atherosclerosis, this process starts in the adolescence, in the age of 14 years, and it gradually progresses. And it doesn't mean that the artery was 90%, then it becomes 99%, and finally 100%. It is the non-critical plaques. It is not obstructing plaques. It ruptures, mixes with blood, and forms the clot. So what are the typical symptoms of this cardiac pain or angina or heart attack? Pain anywhere from the angle of the mouth to navel. It can be a heart pain. Pain in the shoulders, pain in the neck. When you are walking and you are feeling suffocation-like feeling, it can be a cardiac symptom. Sometimes, especially in diabetics, you don't get the classical symptoms of the heart disease or blockage of the heart arteries. So you get some atypical symptoms, like you feel giddy, you feel fatigueness, you feel there is some pre-syncope, or you are feeling syncope, or breathlessness. Especially if you have a breathlessness which cannot be explained, it can be a cardiac dyspnea. One more important symptoms I can tell you, that is in cardiac patients, sometimes you feel that there is unnatural cold sweating. It is also a very important symptoms of the cardiac disease. So just typical symptoms, looking for the typical symptoms. There is a retrosternal chest pain. This happens, but in many cases you get atypical symptoms of the coronary artery disease, and I narrated what are the other atypical symptoms.
Absolutely, but you see, doctor, these are quite hefty medical terms for the common man out there. These are really big, big words, and at the same time, the youngsters. I wouldn't specifically, advise anybody to go on Google and search, for heart ailments or symptoms, because it seems like everything is leading to death anyway on Google. But the thing is, would you recommend a 25-year-old, youth, a 30-year-old youth to go for a heart screen at this age? Because that's not the general notion out there. People don't necessarily go for heart screenings anyway. But would you recommend that for the youth out there?
One important message I want to give to youth, that gymming or going to gym is not synonym with your good health. People think that they are going there, they are looking, their body is looking perfect. It is not. Body is perfect is not quite good enough. You have a good biochemistry also. So screening is required. Diabetes, most of the time asymptomatic. High blood pressure, most of the time asymptomatic. Cholesterol level, most of the time asymptomatic. So you should go for this at least routine, your sugar test, blood pressure measurement, and lipid profile, that is the cholesterol level. And if you have a positive family history, there are some stress tests, because sometimes you don't get any symptoms during rest, but when you are exercising or stressed, you get a chest pain. So you have to go for a treadmill test. And before going to gym, please evaluate yourself for your cardiac and lung status, because most of the gym don't have a trained or professional trainer, and they don't know. They just put you under pressure, ye utha lo, and the vigorous exercise without knowing your cardiovascular status can be dangerous. And especially the gym products or gym supplements that contains lot of hormonal substances, human chorionic gonadotropin, testosterone, sometimes sildenafil or Viagra-like substance. So say no to all gym products. The natural protein, if you wants to take in the form of chicken, eggs, and if you are going for the plant protein, paneer, on all these things can help you out to build the muscle mass, but don't go for the gym products.
Right. Ashish, there were some really nice reactions from some of the top doctors in the country as well in the documentary. What did they have to say about coming out of a sedentary lifestyle? It's easy to get succumbed and sucked into a sedentary lifestyle, but to get yourself up again, wear those shoes, go out for a jog again. What were some of the most interesting things and, some inspiring words coming from these top doctors?
So the magic mantra, Kabir, was moderation, the M word. Because whatever you do, you exercise, you do it in moderation. Your diet should be in moderation. Uh, go in for an exercise regime which is not so strenuous, like he was mentioning, just lifting weights without supervision. So begin with the yoga. So let your body gradually, go towards fitness. Begin with walking before you start running. So moderation is the mantra which everybody was succumbing, and of course the warning signals. Smoking, if you're
What about changes in dietary patterns? Things that one needs to consume. They'd say walnuts is the nut king. It drops the cholesterol level, clears the arteries and blockages as well. Any other of those tips and tricks?
So the conventional wisdom on diet is out there, Kabir. I think I'm not a domain expert on that. But one tip I could find out while speaking to these leading experts was
Right.
that you have to respect your circadian rhythm. So a lot of us are hooked to these gadgets, and our screen time has increased so much that we are sleeping late. We are hooked to our gadgets till late in the night. And India is the BPO capital of the world, the IT capital of the world. So we have to respect our sleep patterns.
Right.
That's gone for a toss. So because the circadian rhythm is disturbed, that's again one of the highest risk factors, stress factors for your heart not behaving well. Maybe Dr. Kumar can shed some more light on it.
Absolutely. Dr. Manoj Kumar, sleep is actually one of those problems as well. And the youth, maybe Ashish has a point here. The youth is not sleeping enough. It's the eyes close, it's social media. The eyes open, it's social media again. And let's not just put social media under the guillotine here. Let's just talk about sleep patterns, circadian rhythm, just being, really fruitful and grateful for our circadian rhythm as well. What are some of the tips and tricks that you'd like to talk about? A stipulated hour, amount of hours of sleep, some, eating tips, some dietary tips?
Yes. So first, I will start with the diet. Diet, you have to stick to a diet which is non-fatty. If you're taking fats, take unsaturated fats, avoid trans fats, especially even the Indian snacks. We blame pizza and burger, but even the Indian snacks like chole bhature and samosas, they all are fried food, and they use same oil from morning to evening. So as the heat degenerates the oil, it becomes a trans fat. So you should avoid this type of snacks in between. Avoid all junk foods like pizza and burger. Homemade food is the best food. In Indian diet, the carbohydrate is very high. That's the reason that the component of carbohydrate part is very high if you see percentage-wise. So it's to substitute it with the protein is important, and proteins, the egg proteins, even the milk protein like paneer is important, like the nuts, walnut and almonds, badam and akhrout. Both are very good, and you should avoid this cashew nut because cashew contains a lot of cholesterol. And regarding exercise, there is a WHO recommendation that you should be active most of the days in the week, 5 days at least in a week, and 30 to 45 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. So there is no need of going to the gym and just taking weight and all these things. You even walk, brisk walking for 30 to 45 minutes is very good. Like sleep. Sleep is a very important risk factor because sleep, 8 hours, good sleep, good quality of sleep is required for the recovery of the mental neurons. And screen time. Screen time is the also related with the sedentary lifestyle. So whenever you, even if you exercise for 30 minutes, but rest of the day you are sitting like a couch potato and watching the TV and this mobile, this will definitely harm your glucose intolerance, insulin resistance, all these things happen. So sleep and circadian rhythm, as rightly said my colleague, that the circadian rhythm is very important. What is the time of the sleep? 10 o'clock you are sleeping, and if you are rising early morning, 5 o'clock, that is a better time other than the whole night you are wake up and in the morning you sleep around 3 o'clock and you rise around 10 o'clock. So circadian rhythm, this is a biological clock inside your body. So respect that biological clock and go to the bed early and rise in the morning early. That is the Brahma Muhurat
Fair enough.
awakening.
Well, those tips and tricks out there for all the viewers out there, especially the youth out there. You've got a doctor, you've got a journalist who's been covering this for a very long time. The mantra is moderation. The magic mantra certainly seems to be moderation. Ashish Sharma, many thanks for joining us on this riveting topic and conversation. Dr. Manoj Kumar, to you as well. Thank you so much for your insightful inputs. We're going to slip into a quick break here. News content continues on the other side. Don't go anywhere.